Would you like to learn from those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level? Best-selling author of Speakeasy and master connector Lou Diamond is here to connect you to some of the most inspiring and amazing people on this planet. Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome, everyone, to another absolutely amazing, fantastic episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond, and today, listeners and viewers, we're going to be involved in something pretty clever. You see, I don't like to admit this too often, but currently I am aiding and abetting in a heist. The Hidden Heist. And one of the masterminds behind it is a Hall of Fame business speaker, best-selling author, successful business owner, and relationship marketing expert. His code name is the Referral Coach. His other alias is the host of the Top Advisor podcast. I'm excited to be part of his crew, viewers and listeners, because associated with this man pays off. Thrive Loud listeners and viewers out there excited to bring in the mastermind himself, Bill Gates. Bill, welcome to Thrive Loud.
Hey, just in case, not Bill Gates. Sorry, folks. Missed it by one letter and a couple of bucks, but we're still here to talk about money.
We're here to talk about money. For those who were listening to this, you're going to need to watch the video to understand all of the things I'm bringing off the author of this amazing new book, co-author of The Hidden Heist, which we will talk about here. And Bill is a Hall of Fame speaker. He is one of the more impactful marketers you will ever come across. Great podcaster, and he's also a pretty good guy. And with all that, I love to do a little rewind here. I want to understand how this most recent message of yours, specifically this hidden heist, what's so hidden about it, how this all came to be, Bill.
Well, first of all, let's define what the hidden heist is, and then I'll tell you a little bit of how it came to be. First of all, the hidden heist is our mostly unconscious limiting beliefs, mistaken assumptions, unhelpful emotions. So sometimes we're conscious to them, sometimes not, but they're robbing our future self. They're keeping us away from all the true wealth, lasting wealth that's possible for us. And so that's the hidden heist, and we'll get into that. How this came about, well, I've been in financial services for over 33 years. I've helped advisors. I've been advising advisors, helped them bring in billions of dollars. And what I've learned, of course, is the incredible importance of proper financial planning, proper financial education. And so this is partially a legacy project, and that I really believe that every human being deserves to make educated financial decisions that are in their best interest. And so I'm doing my best to reach folks. And my initial work is going to be around the mindset, the thinking, the emotion, things that rarely get talked about, and that I think are pretty fundamental to then taking the right actions.
Bill, let's double click down into that a little bit. Let's talk about, I guess, some of the things that people are afraid to have conversations about, or things that are addressed, the most that you've seen. I think many of us have ideas what they are, but I want to hear what you are seeing more of than anything else.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just don't like to admit that they have anxiety around money and other related emotions. So, for instance, a lot of folks have shame around money. And shame and fear and anxiety, by the way, around money, no boundaries in terms of wealth or lack thereof. I've seen folks, I was talking to a gentleman worth $96 million, and he says that he lives with daily fear that somehow he's going to lose that money. So people don't like to talk about that emotional side of things. I'll tell you one thing that I had to come to grips with myself. And I think some people can relate to this. A lot of small business owners certainly can relate to this. There was a time when I felt like I needed to somehow show off my success to others through the car that I drove, through the house that I bought. I was measuring my self-worth through my net worth. I was measuring my self-worth through the square footage of my home. And I realized finally, that's a booby prize. And, if anything, our self-worth can create our net worth, but it's certainly not the other way around. Now, there are people with high net worth that also have self-worth issues that we can get into more depth around. But But I believe it's the anxiety and the emotions that people have around money is why it's not talked about. Right? We say, at dinner parties or whatever, don't talk about religion, politics, and money. And it's because of all the strange feelings that so many people have around money.
Yeah. I find it fascinating throughout my career, and I remember this the most. The year I did the best when I worked on Wall Street, I don't necessarily think was the best for me. What I sacrificed, what I felt about that value, physically. I looked at a picture of myself of that year. It felt like all I was doing was working. And I think you get to understand the appreciation of what value and wealth is. But I do know that I always stress about money. And I know I try to do better about it. Talk to me and the listeners as to, I guess, some of the ways that you're trying to change the way people think about it. Is that some of the hidden heist that you dive into?
Yes, it is. And we take some of the most prevalent. So, for example, a lot of people see money as a scarce resource. Now, I understand that it may feel scarce in your pocket, in your bank account, and that's a real thing, and that certainly needs to be addressed. And it goes beyond that. What we know is that money there is not a scarce resource. Money flows through society, through the world. You make money, you put it in the bank loans it. Employees eventually they travel overseas. The whole thing. It's like it just flows. In fact, currency, the root of that word currency is Old English currens, and it flows, right? So the way that I personally was able to start to overcome and rewire some of my broken stories around this, and a lot of other people do, is through education of how money actually works. And when you learn about money and how it works, and not a scarce resource, not a zero-sum game, and all the basics of saving and investment and dollar cost averaging and paying yourself first and all those various things, once you learn about that, then what happened to me, at least, is I reflected on some of the decisions and feelings that I was having, and I realized there was a disconnect there. And I didn't have to have that anxiety. I didn't have to have some of that stuff. And so that's one of the things we work on. And just real quick, the basic premise of the book, of the overarching premise, which really applies to all aspects of our life, is that if we're trying to fix a problem, there's a challenge, interpersonal, business, whatever it is, there's often an underlying belief that's really the problem, right? It's what we believe about ourselves, about the other person, about the context, the economy, our product, whatever it may be. And so if we don't address that, then any strategy or tactic in the world isn't going to fix the problem, or at least not fully. So that's the premise. And we just happen to wrap it around money in this case and put it in a bank robbery. That's why it's called a heist. It takes place in a bank robbery. We can get into that if you want. But that's the essence of where I'm headed with this.
I've always wanted to rob a bank, and I wanted to thank you, by the way. For those who watched the opening of this episode, obviously, some of the marketing materials of what I received from Bill, obviously some cash as part of the heist. He's trying to funnel it across.
It's only 10 grand, I mean, it's payola, right?
I got to tell you, it's a good, I'll take 10 grand any day. Just to be clear, I didn't put it on a horse, anyone who was curious about that. But I do like understanding, we all love heists, by the way. And I was actually going to ask this question. Any movie or TV show that has ever featured some form of heist and scam or robbery, for some reason, we have always been fascinated by it. I'm going to ask that question for you personally. Is it something that's always intrigued you as it relates to the things you love to watch and see?
Well, actually, not. I mean, yes and no. That's not how the title came about, by the way, just because I was intrigued by that. I was trying to figure out, how do we create a parable book? This is a parable, so it's a story that teaches. But most parable books are, I don't know, they're kind of soft. They don't have a lot of tension. You can kind of see what's coming down the road, and nothing wrong with that in the story. Sometimes we know what the end is going to be, and we just want to see how to get there. But I wanted some twists and turns. So I decided a bank robbery was perfect. There's some built-in tension and suspense there. There are twists and turns. We also have a lot of comic relief. So there's a lot of humor in this book as well, because it's a parable book. It's not just a fiction about a heist. Now, the title of the book, The Hidden Heist, was my co-author's suggestion. Jeff C. West. And it was really one of those things in the book. He's talking about, these beliefs, these mistaken beliefs. It's like a hidden heist that robs our future. And then he called it. And at first, I wasn't thrilled with that title. I didn't like it. I was trying to come up with all kinds of other titles, and slowly but surely talking it out with others and thinking through it a little bit. And now I love it, because part of the marketing is, get into the heist. The way you open this up, everybody likes a good heist. In fact, I'm going to do a really bad Danny DeVito impression, because I know you like to have a little fun, so I can get away with that with you. He's in a movie called The Heist.
Yep.
And Danny DeVito's character goes, "Everybody wants money. That's why they call it money." And I just think that's hysterical. And maybe you don't, but that's fine. So that's how it all came about. And so suspense and humor and a little bit of learning along the way. A lot of people are giving it as gifts to their adult children to make sure they get the right message early in life. So it's really for all ages in that sense.
It's as your book came in, we had an internal team meeting with the production team, and one of my producers brought up the theme of how many guests I've had on this show, top speakers and messaging people like yourself. We've had the head of the New York Times financial section all come out with content about how to better appreciate money. The first one I mentioned is Ron Lieber, who came up with the opposite of spoiled, and how to teach the value of money early on. Somebody had money is fluid. What this is robbing yourself of wealth. There's a bunch of this. I think we're going to run a series of all of these because
that'd be cool.
I think it's pretty amazing how the best conversations that I remember about money on this show was people reminding us that, while it is nice to hold something like this in your hands, is that this is just currency and it's fluid, and there's a flow of money and overarching based on a lot of other things. And, some people feel there's a higher power and a calling to it. A lot of it is, really understanding where your mind is around it. And too often we get bogged down into the stress and the holding on to it, as you mentioned. And I think we need more people out there getting this message, which is yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say, and that speaks to this concept of financial freedom.
Yeah.
And so I believe there's kind of two types of financial freedom. There's the let's call it on the surface, the more mundane of just having wherewithal to make different decisions. Having enough slack in your life so you don't have to worry about buying this or buying that. And just making better choices in life, better healthcare, better everything, right? Money does that. We know that. And that's a certain type of financial freedom. But there's also an inner freedom. And that's why there's a lot of people with a lot of money don't have the inner financial freedom. They're still tied and anxious, and a lot of people misquote the Bible. We talk about this in the book, that the people say, money is the root of all evil. Well, that's actually not what the Bible says. And I'm not a biblical scholar, don't get me wrong, but it says the love of money is the root of all evil. And what I believe it really means is the attachment, the unhealthy love of where we're using money for power, for greed, for cheating, for, stuff that just isn't good. One of the main characters in the book is Alden Beckett. And we have a lot of quotes from Alden that come from the book. And one of his quotes I love that speaks to this is that money is meant to be used and people are meant to be loved. The trouble starts when we reverse the two. And so that's that other kind of financial freedom that I think even very, very wealthy people still seek.
I wanted to hit this question. I wrote down a bunch of things I said I wanted to ask Bill beforehand. And here's one of them. To somebody that creates a lot of nonfiction content over your career and messages that, this parable is a deviation from that. I would love to understand in the storytelling process, because as professional speakers, we're telling stories all the time. But in doing this with Jeff C. West, what was it like for you? How was this experience in putting together the Hidden Heist? And what is the gift, I guess, that you got out of doing it?
Yeah, thank you. So you're right. I am the straightforward information giver. I've written 7 books on how to do this, how to do that, right? How to get more referrals, how to talk about your value more effectively, etc. And so I was bringing the how to this book, how to think about money, how to relate to money, but it was still kind of the straightforward stuff. But I knew that this was a parable book that deserved to be written. We learn so much from stories, and so I knew I needed a co-author. So I actually went to Bob Berg, the co-author of the Go Giver series, with John David Mann, and I said, Bob, tell me about John David Mann, who helped you write your parable books. He says, you can't afford him. And I go, oh, okay. And I won't give you the number that he asked for, but I said, yeah, you're probably right. He says, but I got somebody else. He's actually a protege of John David Mann. It's Jeff C. West. And so I give all credit to Jeff to bringing real people, real stories. And we interviewed a lot of people. We interviewed a hostage negotiator. We interviewed bank robbery victims. I've done over 100 money story interviews with people. And so everything in the book is based on reality. And I think that's one reason it's a good read, because it's real. And he brought those characters to life. And then we also put on audio, and we hired a voice actor, a book actor, to read it, because there's all the voices, all the characters. And you've ever listened to a Random House book on audio, right? So it's that kind of guy, really brings it to life. And now, one more thing. I'm the straightforward guy. Jeff's the storyteller, tells a great story, brings out all the stuff we want to talk about. And I was concerned that people would get so engrossed in the story with all the twists and turns that they wouldn't get the message. So I made sure we have 3 appendices, short appendices in the back of the book. They say, all right, if you missed it in the book, here's what we told you. So I'm going to make sure they get it from story, and they're get it straight on. And soon, one way or another, they're going to get it.
The facts always have to rise up. I like that. I think it's also great because, like the fun thing that you get to do in your career, and I think this is often, people don't realize that even though you are doing the how-to piece, you always are bringing in stories. I have heard Bill speak, listeners. He is straight of the line, and he's got such a great niche and a lane of what he does, but he does bring in the stories and the examples often, because that's what makes it so great. So we'll make sure to check it out. Before we jump on to the admin part of the show and all this stuff, as you look at this level of communication and the work that you're doing today, this is bringing it back really to this overarching message and helping people better appreciate money. Are you seeing one specific, call it trend or thing, that is an antithesis to the solution you're trying to provide, something of the problem that you're helping to solve? Is there something that's popping out more often than not that you come across?
Yeah, how about like social media, and the plethora of, I'm going to say it loosely with air quotes, financial education. And don't get me wrong, there's some good people out there teaching some good things. Couple of thoughts on it. Number one, with the Susie Ormans of the world and Dave Ramsey's of the world, teach a lot of good stuff. Don't get me wrong. The only challenge I have with that is it's generic. It's kind of, you got to be careful, right? Because what they say is good or bad may or may not be true for you. So that you just got to be careful about that. But beyond that, and millennials are getting caught up a lot in this. The deal of the day, the stock of the day, the investment of the day. They're seeing people that are flaunting their wealth. They're seeing people who are making up that they have wealth, and they're getting caught up in that. And this plethora of destination weddings and destination, bachelor parties and bachelorette parties. And, I had my daughter's getting married soon, and I actually had to pay for some of these women to go on the destination bachelorette party. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. But that's all the media and social media that people get caught up in, and that's a little bit of that net worth, self-worth, problem. So glad you asked. It's a big one.
No, I like that. And by the way, I'm the biggest fan of, look, there's only so much money that people can expect, and the fact that has become something that people think they're entitled to, or an expectation, needs to be watered down just a bit, folks. I'm in agreement with Bill on this. I'm not at the stage you're at yet, but it's not too far away. So I'm totally there. All right, let's do the admin part of the show. We're going to do the fun street. Bill's been here before, but Bill, share with the listeners everywhere people can learn about you, the Hidden Heist, etc. The floor is yours.
Yeah. So first of all, I got a guide. It's a free guide. Just go get it. No tricks. TheOrdinaryMillionaire.com. TheOrdinaryMillionaire.com. Just get it. It'll show you how anyone can become a millionaire, even if you don't own a business or are a highly paid employee. And the principles work for everyone. Then the book itself is TheHiddenHeist.com. There's a real fun 1-minute video trailer there about kind of the heist, and it tells the story a little bit. And then you can learn more about the book. It's in, hardcover, paperback, Kindle, Audible. So those are the two, TheOrdinaryMillionaire.com and TheHiddenHeist.com.
This is what it looks like, people, if you wanted to go see it, if you're watching the videos on YouTube. Okay. Bill, are you ready to go do the Speakeasy Pub Crawl Fun Street with me? I know you are.
I don't know. I'm intimidated, but go for it.
I don't think Bill's intimidated by anything. But here we go. All right, we're gonna start this off very on theme. I started going on this. I alluded to it earlier. Normally, I'll ask like what your all-time favorite movie is, but I would like to shift that, whether it's your all-time or you want to call it the Mount Rushmore of your favorite heist movies. Do you have one?
The Italian Job's a good one, without question. Yep. And actually the Heist with Danny DeVito is a fun one. Anything he does is fun. So those are a couple that I think are worth seeing.
Yeah. I just rewatched the Italian Job not too long ago. The original Italian Job.
Okay.
And I did not know that the whole thing with the Mini Coopers and the small cars was actually kind of a fun thing that they carried over into the other part of the movie. Just to be clear, the more recent one with Mark Wahlberg is a better one than the other one. But the scam is really good. I liked it. And anytime you get Ed Norton Jr. as the bad guy, I'm in, because like he just does a really good bad guy.
He does. It's true.
All right, speed round. Here we go, Bill. First thing that comes to mind, we're doing the Speakeasy Pub Crawl. These are the things we're stopping at, all the cool places. And guess what? We got some money to spend here. So let's go have some fun while we're in there. All right, here we go. All the late. What song are we listening to? What money are we putting in the jukebox along our little stroll here? Anything?
I hate to say it, but I'm a little bit of an older guy, and I'm a classic rock guy, and some of the older classic jazz. So, that it's. I love The Who. I love Rush. I love some of the older stuff, and that's my nickel, dime, quarter is going into those right now.
I saw one of the Rush's last performances at Madison Square Garden, which was for those of you who have ever been to a concert at Madison Square Garden. I think the population was 20,000 men and like 7 women.
Women don't tend to care for Rush. It's true. It isn't. It is
on 20,000 men air drumming during Tom Sawyer, so it was pretty awesome.
I was dating a woman, and her son got tickets to Rush, and she didn't want to go, and he was a drummer, and I'm a drummer, and so I took her son to Rush. Exactly what you're saying.
He was worth the price of admission, and rest his soul, he was probably the best ever will be.
Yeah,
okay,
Neil Peart. Yeah,
Neil Peart is amazing. Okay, a favorite food that's not a dessert.
I was a vegetarian for 15 long years, and then somewhere along the line, I broke my vegetarian fast and had a steak, and it's like, this is what I've been missing for all these years. Why did I do that to myself? So I love a good steak. Sorry.
So I'm glad we brought cash, though. I'm glad we brought cash because you'll need it for a good one. It's true. Oh my goodness. All right, so we're on the stroll on Fun Street. We're stopping by a dessert place. What's your favorite dessert? What's Bill having for dessert?
Yeah, that was easy. Tiramisu. Love a tiramisu. I'm not a coffee drinker. I hate the taste of coffee, but with a tiramisu, there's enough cream and sugar in here. It's just working.
An activity you wish you did more of?
Golf, although I did a pretty good job this year. I had every Tuesday and Friday blocked out through spring all the way in now into the fall recording this, and did a pretty darn good job. I would like to do more kayaking. and more cycling. My wife hurt herself cycling, and so she's been a little timid to get back on the bike. But we're going to get back into more cycling. We cycled in Vietnam and in Greece, and we're going to do more cycling trips. So yeah, I want to get back to that.
I'm looking over here because we just got the Backroads catalog.
Yeah, I am familiar with that group.
Some of those trips that we were checking them out.
Yeah.
A new activity, one you've recently tried, you like so much, you want to share with all the listeners and viewers to try.
Yeah, I don't think I have an answer for you. Maybe I'm a little boring. I mean, I played a little pickleball I like, but that's all that doesn't age me, you know.
By the way, I challenged that. I was watching a bunch of 20-somethings on the pickleball court, and they're amazing. These are former college tennis players. They're totally taking up the sport.
Good.
So it's great.
Good. Well, that means that me liking pickleball doesn't make me as old as I really am.
There you go. If I could snap my fingers and Bill Cates could be anywhere in the world, where's he going?
I would love to go back to Australia and New Zealand. Loved it. Got engaged in Egypt. That was a trip of a lifetime. I've been backpacking in India. Love that, and would love to go back to Switzerland. So a bunch of places, and very diverse, right? I love the adventure. I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. I've been to the Arctic Circle. I've done adventure stuff, and I also love just some good old sightseeing too.
Love it. Everybody go check it out. Bill Cates, we flashed it enough here, The Hidden Heist. You got to also see the artwork for this episode where it looks like he's pulling it out of his jacket. Like, hey, I got some secret behind you. Like, hey, you want to buy the letter W? You want to buy the letter Hidden Heist? You want to go get it, grab yourself a copy. It will be worth it. And Bill, thank you for what you're doing, man. Keep rocking on the Top Advisor podcast and all the other platforms you're at. You're the man. Great to have you. There he is with the thumbs up.
Now, you're the man. You're the man, Luke.
You got it. To all our listeners and viewers out there, thank you for joining us. Till next time, keep moving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Check us out on the web at thriveloud.com and follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at Thrive Loud. And check us out on the Good Pods app at Thrive Loud, where you can follow, listen, and connect directly to Lou and all of the Thrive Loud episodes. Thanks for listening.